Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Heather Havenwood. Woo! Welcome to Like a Boss. Now, this is something really, really, really new for me. I am interviewing two, not one, but two people at the same time, and two boys, which by the way, they are muted and they can't laugh at that. So I'm super excited to have both of these guys, studs, gentlemen, sexy boss men on the call with us today. I'm super excited. So I promise you, gentlemen, I will be nice. Okay. Jeff, Jack, are you still both there?
We're here.
Yeah, well, after an intro like that, of course.
Yeah,
I might call you stud boys, stud gentlemen. We'll figure out how that goes. All right. I'm going to introduce you to your audience. First is Jack Gibson. He began his entrepreneurial journey at 19 and founded his first company at the ripe old age of 21, operates a successful nutrition consulting and distribution company. He built a multi-million-dollar venture before he was old enough to rent a car. So true. That's awesome. Love
What
that.
is the rental car age, by the way?
I think it's like 22, 24 at this point.
Okay.
I think you're way past that, Jack, just so you know.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, and the next person is Jeff, and I'm going to say his last name is Schechter. By the way, I've known Schechter for almost 10 years. He has had the entrepreneurial bug his entire life. He started his first business right out of college, and over the years has been involved in numerous business ventures. His love for real estate investing began in the 1980s. He rehabbed 5 of his own residences before the term house hacking even existed. Schechter, how are you?
Heather, I'm so excited to be here with you.
I know you are. So just to give you a little background, Schechter, which is I call him that. I've known him for 10 years. He used to live in Austin, and now he moved to start this amazing business with Jack Gibson. And they are the creators of highreturnrealestate.com with the podcast of High Return Real Estate Podcast. Go check them out, of Jack and Jeff. Or I just can't call you Jeff. It's Schechter.
Perfect.
We're going to, so today is really about real estate investing, but kind of what's happening in the market today, right? You guys are doing this turnkey for customers. And I kind of want to, first we get started into content. Let's talk about what your company currently does, right? And how does it help clients? So who wants to answer that one?
Yeah. I do.
Okay, Schechter.
So, you know, obviously you and I know each other because of backgrounds in digital marketing. And one of the things that we saw was that there was a lot of online courses being created in a very done for you kind of fashion, that there's a lot of value in doing things. And we noticed that in the investment world that in order to get to a cash flowing property, there is 12 gajillion moving parts, right? You got to acquire the property, you got to acquire it right, you got to rehab it right, make sure everything is good, get it inspected, check everything out, find the right tenant, get the tenant stabilized, all that other kind of stuff. We basically, our service does all of that for the investor. So when the investor is actually buying the property, they're buying something that is already a finished, performing, producing asset, completely done for you.
It's literally like create a company for someone and then handing them the keys.
Yeah, to a certain extent, because every investor, whether they're structured as a sole proprietor, LLC, or whatever, any obviously rental property that they own is a business in itself. It is a cash performing business. So yes, you're absolutely correct in that.
That's really powerful. I think it's interesting because right now with so many different opportunities online and offline and real estate and online business, I think people are looking for that kind of turnkey. Here's some money. Now give me an asset to return on my investment, but they don't really want to learn all the different moving parts. I think it's really fascinating. So Jack, I have a question for you. Your background in nutraceuticals and creating a supplement company, how do you use that today to help people with turnkey real estate?
Well, I got into that company because really I wanted to create residual passive income. Like that was always the goal from the very beginning when I saw like how the compensation plan and the whole structure, it's a multi-level marketing business, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously controversial, not nearly as much as it was 20 years ago when I started, right? But still the concept it's a wonderful concept. You put in, in this case, the nutrition company, you put in an effort, equity, sweat equity, that sort of thing. You're not putting in much capital, right? So your goal is to build up using your skill sets and your energy and effort, a passive income. So for me, then transferring the money that I made from that business, I needed a place to put it safely and create another stream of passive income to create more of a backup so that our family would never lose the lifestyle that we had grown accustomed to.
Right.
So we started looking at real estate, passive income, type of investments. And so it was a natural, like my thinking process was already in line with residual income over here. Let's just create a different stream over here. But this one is obviously a lot more capital intensive. I mean, you really need to have cash to play this game.
Yeah, you really do. So many people know, if they listen to my podcast a long period of time, I have been in the real estate game back in 99, 2001. You should travel the country and do that. I also got completely, screwed up. I got wiped out is the right word. I got wiped out in 2008, 2008 through the financial market, just along with a lot of people that I knew. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the current market today. So what I'm trying to say is I'm very for the real estate market, real estate and holding real estate for the long term and treat it like a business. Is one of the things that I learned. And I know that you have too, Schechter, is like focusing on each little house is like a little business that turns into a big business, right? And I think that is a really great way to kind of view it. How do you help investors today, Schechter, to clients, I guess it'd be clients or investors, how do you guys help people today to kind of view that as a business? How do you do that?
It's a tough question, actually. I'm not completely sure how to answer it, because I think that people come to us with various degrees of mindset along that spectrum.
What's right? The number one mindset people come to you? Or what kind of your current client now, what do they usually say to you about that?
Well, it's kind of like what Jack was saying. Look, I just really want to have some passive income. And the mindset is like, I don't have enough safety in the stock market. I don't have the time to really grow and start a business, because that's why I'm drawn to the done for you model. But I do understand that I want to build wealth. I want to build legacy. I want to build a portfolio for the future. I'm just not necessarily completely sure the best way to do this, but I want to do this as easily and as hands-off as possible. So, within that, you're going to get people that are just like, hey, I've got this regular old day job, and for me, this is just a good place to invest. And then you have all the way across the other side of the spectrum is the ones that are way more entrepreneurial. They're like, I would obviously like to get to a point where this is my, the main source of my income, and I'm controlling a lot of different properties. And no matter where they are on the spectrum, because we have, a very done for you solution, we can help anybody along that spectrum, but we agree with you that we want to all treat this as a business, but it's not like we can necessarily go in when we're having 2 or 3 conversations with an investor and completely change their paradigm. All we can do is say, hey, here's what we can do, here's what we can offer, here's our value. And if this matches with what your goals are, great. And if not, great. And that's how we do it.
No, that's great. I love that. But what I'm hearing is the number one challenge people have is, hey, I have money and I want to be able to put it into something where I know there's going to be a return of investment. So let's talk about that. Jack, what exactly is your current client looking for? What is your value proposition when you're working with a client? Why do they go with you versus saying, hey, I can do this myself?
Sure. Well, I mean, besides we already talked about, obviously, the turnkey model, right? Done for you. We're doing all the acquisition, the rehabs,
it's a lot.
Property management. We're getting them inspected. We're putting a warranty on them for 1 year, backing up the property, right? So if anything goes wrong, I mean, it's on us. So we're taking some of the risk off of them, or a lot of the risk off the investor as well. Huh. And then we screen tenants, and then we place them, and then we manage them and do maintenance repair. I mean, from the beginning to the end, it's a very passive income stream. They have to obviously come into it the mindset, if it's real estate, there's lots of moving parts still, and there's problems that we're going to have to go through and work through together, but we'll shoulder that with you, right? So I think, beyond that, I think the biggest thing is that it's our name, high return real estate. Yeah. Like, that's the differentiator. We're offering cap rates that are, 3 times the national average at this point in the market. So we're getting some very, very stellar returns. And so people are very drawn to what we're able to do. And it's obviously a lot of that has to do with like where we're at, in the Midwest, right?
Let's tell people where you guys are at. You guys aren't in New York City or San Francisco. Where are you guys at?
We're all of our model right now is based on Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Indiana. Okay. So let's help people understand that. What's an average price for a home that you guys are investing in right now?
Let's say single family homes are average 45 to 50,000. They're getting Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's finished. That's after rehab.
Yeah, that's done. Everything all in.
Are you serious?
We're serious. I know.
Oh, sorry.
And they're not tiny homes. Okay.
Right.
Maybe that's what people are thinking. Is this like what is this?
Right.
I mean, a lot of them are 1,000 square feet or more. I mean, 800 to 1,200 type range, 2-3 beds, 1 bath.
Right. It's just a different part of the country, right? I mean, I live in Austin, and Jackie used to live here. You know that a 1,200 square foot house in Austin is it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the down payment in Austin.
Right.
That's exactly 250,000 to 350 just for not much, right? So,
not much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my condos goes for 50, right? So I get it. That's just interesting to me. So, okay, and I know Shecky, by the way, I want to let you know, so when I last saw Shecky, Jeff, he was in Austin. He'd been here for a long time, and he moved to be with his business partner, Jack, to do this full time. This is what you guys do. You help people, right, make money. That's what you guys do. You guys say, hey, we want to help you make money. We do everything for you, hands off, so you can focus on what you want to do, which is maybe they're a chiropractor, they're healing people. Maybe they're a lawyer. Maybe they're a doctor in the surgery. They don't have the time to focus on how to buy and sell houses. And, they live in New York or they live in Austin. They can't buy a house for $45,000 and be able to do that. So I just love what you guys do, because honestly, you're doing a huge service for people. You really are helping them create a stability way over time, because real estate is a great asset no matter what, right? And they don't have the time to do that. They're focused on things. So let's start with this. One of the questions I have is, when's the best time to buy into real estate? And Becky, I'll give that one to you. Okay,
well, I think the answer is it depends. For example, right now is an amazing time to be investing in inexpensive properties like what we're doing. I don't know that there ever would be a bad time to do that, because we are not playing the appreciation game. We're playing only a cash flow game. Certainly we'll get some appreciation. If a market really corrects significantly and we're in a $50,000 property and we lose a little bit of value, like, do we care? Like, if the property's worth $46K, after a big crash, it doesn't matter. It's still going to rent for the same amount, and the price to rent ratios of what the investor originally paid will remain the same. I can tell you right now, I would not want to be investing in higher priced properties on the coast right now, because I feel like they're at their peak, and it may not be a good time for something like that. So, the answer to your question is it just depends.
Okay.
There may be other places in the country where there's lots of room for appreciation, if indeed that's your game, and that becomes a good time to invest. So the answer is going to depend on two things. One is what are your goals are, as far as the kind of properties and kind of investments you want to have, and then therefore how good is your analysis of the situation based on those goals.
Okay, well that's a really good point. I know here in Austin, people play the appreciation game. Big time. I'm speaking from Austin because I know that market. Coming from Orlando for those years, 2001 to 2008, and that I played the appreciation game and got wiped out, I would say not the best game. It's a game, but it's not. That's my personal view, right? My personal view. I think we've all been around long enough that we have what I call gone through our cycles, right? I know that you have too, Shecky, and you have as well. And that gives us some wisdom, a little bit of a wisdom to things. I remember back in the day when I was traveling the country doing real estate investing seminars, there was an older gentleman, and he kind of had that wisdom, like, this thing is going to crash, kind of had this, this thing is going to crash. And I was like, oh, he's just a naysayer, like 6 months later, it crashed, right? So I feel like that there's wisdom to us. We're older and wiser, Shecky and Jack. I don't know if that matters at all, but at some level we are. I laugh. Like, are we that old? Okay, so let's go into the next thing. Jack, why don't you go into it? Where do you talk more about your business? Just talk about more business. What basically people say, hey, I'm ready to do this. And what's the risk factors? Do they have to have $100,000 to start working with you? And what's the risk factors?
Well, that's a great question. I think risk factors, certainly, like any real estate play, right, are the potential for a market downturn. I think, honestly, though, after, doing a lot of cash flow real estate over the last 4 years, not just in Indy, but in different markets. I've found that the biggest risk is the team that's backing up and is behind your investment.
Okay.
So in other words, so if I look at it like this, I could buy a property that is, I paid $60,000 for, and I've got a subpar team or a team that's really not all that trustworthy. They're unscrupulous, right? And it's producing 20% returns, right? I mean, that's not really, I don't know where anybody's doing that in today's market, but let's just say they do it. And then I have another property, I pay, same 60,000 for a 10% return. But at the end of the day, the team that backs is behind that investment. They're trustworthy. They've got, like all their systems in place. They've got a great team managing and behind and backing up the investment, and they'll take care of you if something goes wrong. That is a huge difference. Before I would have just been like, I'll take the gamble, I'll take the, 20% return, more return, better. But now just like you said, wisdom, and Shecky's got a lot more wisdom than me based on the age discrepancy. But but anyways, I say based on the wisdom now, I'll take a little bit lesser return or a lot lesser return if I know that I have a really good team that's working behind the scenes for my property, or even in front of the scenes. You're muted.
Just totally muted myself. So Shecky, I want you to kind of chime in on this as well. I completely concur, but it's like a business, like any business. You can have a great idea of a business and people want that business. But if your management, if your systems and structures are not well, it's going to completely break down. So Shecky, what's your take on this too?
I wholeheartedly agree. And actually the numbers actually prove that. So, and thank you for that, Jack. I'll be speaking now as Father Time from this point forward. But
the age of your girlfriends doesn't represent your.
Let's not go there. Just look at the gray hairs, and we'll just leave it at that. So we'll just go under the assumption that I have a lot of wisdom. And but your point about 20% versus 10% is, I think, a really good one, because we have experienced that personally. When we got started, we were buying from another team that was promising very big returns, and everything looked really great on paper, and they were saying all the right things. But when corners get cut and rehabs aren't done correctly, and improper tenants are put in and all that other kind of stuff, really everything goes to shit, pardon my French, but it just does. And what ends up happening is you have just more repairs on the property, you have more turnover, you have all these other things that are huge costs, and that completely erodes the ROI. And to quote my illustrious and much younger business partner, it also adds a certain amount of emotional havoc and attention to bandwidth, that stuff that you just don't really want to be a part of, right? Which just drains you and saps your energy. It's like it's on a much different level than beyond just looking at numbers, right? So our feeling is just like, yeah, you've got to find people and systems and teams that are not cutting corners, that are doing it right. And thankfully, we live in an age with social media and cameras and videos and numbers and sharing of information, that with certain things like, third-party inspections and warranties and things like that, there are processes that can be put in place that even with the most honest people can also prove their honesty. So you do want to look for situations, obviously, where you have some sort of that validation. And as long as you have that, you should be golden.
So what do you guys do? So someone's listening going, hey, I live in New York or California. First of all, the prices are crazy. Second of all, this sounds great. How do they know their money's going? Because it's not a stock where they can see it, How do you guys do that? How do you help them feel secure that their money's going to the right place, and how does it work?
Well, number one, we encourage all of our investors to come visit us. They can tour our office, meet our property management team, get a tour of properties, really get comfortable and get some boots on the ground. Now, a lot don't do that. So we provide them with a folder that shows a complete set of, final pictures, the inspection report. Then we have a contractor verification form that we show them that shows what came up on the inspection report that needed to be addressed. and the contractor signs off on that. We show documentation of that. We show, once they're under contract, we can legally then show them a copy of the lease. So we're trying to show them everything and be as fully transparent as possible, because at the end of the day, right, the investor that are coming in, they still believe that they're buying the actual property. And in fact, as I alluded to, it's not so much the property that they're buying the team that's behind the property, which is really going to determine where their ROI comes in at, not the bricks and sticks itself.
Yeah, they're actually buying the system, and the system is heavy personnel, right? It's not just the real estate. It's the personnel, it's all the systems, and they don't have to. It's
the same thing in any business model. If there's not a great system in place, it's
right,
the same in network marketing. You could sign up in a multi-level marketing company and you could spin your wheels because there's not a system that you have to plug into that's effective. Right. We find it in all businesses, right?
Right. Yeah. That's why people bought McDonald's, because there's a system. And right now the big one is Orange Theory. It's a great system to plug into. And
sure.
On it goes. I got the chance to interview a guy who does franchises. That's what he does. And he talks about, which ones, he's been in this for 25 years. And he talks a lot about what's working, not working. And it's not, he's like, sometimes it's the concept, but mostly it's the system. And then the management of the franchise company, right? Like the main hub of the company, like you guys, it's the system, but it's also what's happening in the background, the people that are actually running the corporate offices. Do they have the experience? What they're doing? Is this their first time to do this? Right. So it's brilliant. You guys have many, many years of experience of understanding the systems and structures. And you guys put a team together so that when someone writes you guys a check, they know that it is an investment and it's being taken care of. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So you guys, highreturnrealestate.com. Where can they find you? Someone's really interested in this, Shecky. Where can they say, hey, I'm really interested. I want to get on the phone with you guys and have a conversation.
Yeah. So obviously go to highreturnrealestate.com, because we pretty much put our whole world up there, and we post, some of the properties that are coming up that are now available. Okay. But we're fairly personal in the way we do things. When somebody wants to, consider doing business with us, we have them talk to the person. Her name's Nicole, but she heads up our investor relations team. She's amazing, and she's also an investor, and that's actually how we met her. Cool. Yeah, she's fantastic, and she will basically make sure that what the investors' goals are match with the kinds of properties and the kinds of stuff we're doing. Because obviously we recognize too that we can't be all things to all people. We operate within a certain price point and a certain niche and a certain area that we've dialed in and proven to be extremely successful. But that doesn't mean necessarily that, it's tea. And if somebody wants coffee, we're not selling coffee, we're selling tea, right? So her job is just to make sure that we really have a good fit and that we're all on the same page and that everybody's moving forward in the same way. And then once that happens, it usually becomes pretty easy from there. So whether they do come visit us or not, as long as they're having a couple meaningful conversations with us, and they can certainly talk to myself and Jack too, and that does happen from time to time. But then it becomes very easy. Send me information. We're full transparency. Here's everything we've done. Here's befores and afters. Here's the whole bit. Here's how it's performing, because it's already performing when we sell it to them. Here's what the taxes are. We've looked them up. Here's what your considered probable expenses are going to be. So again, complete transparency. So it's not that hard for them to make a decision, because we've laid so much information out for them. And usually once they've bought the first one from us, numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever, become like super easy. Because it's just like, okay, that's very similar to the other one, because you guys pretty much do mostly similar stuff. Okay, that looks good. I'm ready for another. Yeah, let's go. Boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
It's great.
That's really great. Okay, so where can they find you, Jack?
highreturnrealestate.com.
Awesome.
Or in your show notes.
Or in the show notes.
Your show notes would be great.
HeatherHavenwood.com. So one last question I have. What's the minimum investment someone needs to have to even consider working with you guys?
All of our properties, the minimum is low 40,000s.
Okay.
So you can pretty much count on say 43,000 on up.
Okay.
And we are cash investors. I mean, in terms of our investors are cash investors. However, those who want to use leverage, they can refinance them after the fact. We've done that, and we have a provider that does that, multiple times. Just we have certain speed to market and holding costs that we cannot accept, like financing upfront from banks. But we can definitely help people to do that.
So needed like about 45,000 cash to get started.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
You guys can get to the properties a lot faster when you have a cash offer.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Well, you guys rock. Thank you, Shecky. Thank you, Jack. This has been super fun. First time I've actually interviewed two guys at the same time. This is really fun, and a lot of two people at the same time, actually. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Hope you guys really enjoyed it too. And one last time, Shecky, what's the website?
HighReturnRealEstate.com.
HighReturnRealEstate.com. Yay! All right, everyone, this is Heather Havenwood. Check me out at heatherhavenwood.com. You can find our show Like a Boss on Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Roku, Google Play, iTunes, and some other places. Hope you enjoy. This is heatherhavenwood.com.